I decided to start recreating the Demon Slayer anime, but in Blender. Demon Slayer is probably one of my most favorite animes to this day, with one of its films, the Mugen Train, breaking record for Japan's highest grossing film of all time, beating Studio Ghibli's Spirited Away. I love everything about this anime. The characters, the people, the environment. So this is the process for how I went about creating my Demon Slayer OC. As a kid, I always watched TV and wondered just how amazing it would be to kind of live in these fantasy worlds. Honestly, I was very jealous of some of them. I was very easily influenced, like going through thoughts of like, what kind of powers would I have? What would life be like? Over time, these ideas kept building up, and honestly, I started to feel a little sad thinking that they would just be trapped inside my head forever. But then it hit me. Why not just make them real myself? So, determined, I grabbed my notepad, downloaded Blender, and I got to work. This here will mark the beginning of a long series where I'm placing myself in my favorite shows, and I want to take you on that journey with me, from concepts to characters and eventually fully animated short films. This will be the first step of many. When it comes to thinking of character ideas, I always aim for something that I feel is unique, something different. I was never really a huge fan of obsessing over the main characters of shows. Yeah, that's right. I'm one of them. I'm one of those. So for Demon Slayer, I started by closely examining the power system, kind of going through each level of like breathing techniques until I landed on something that didn't have a branch yet. And that was stone breathing. I think the lore behind this breathing technique was that it was just so difficult to be compatible with, only few could learn, and a branch could never be made. At least not until now. Also, I don't know what it is, but it's just something about this stone Hashira guy. It's just something about him that I really like. So I reached out to my friend who's an artist to help with the final design. Together we bounced ideas back and forth, pulling together things like personality, fighting style, and appearance until eventually everything kind of just clicked. And now I'm excited to introduce Okiru Kaiken, the sand breathing user. Now that we nailed down the concept, it's time to move on to the modeling portion. And I like to normally break this down into two major parts, which is modeling and texturing. My preference of modeling is a method called box modeling, which is basically just building your character step by step from simpler shapes. It's just way easier for me. I was a bit nervous in this process because even though my concept was cool, it still didn't look like Demon Slayer. Something was off. The design was good, but something was missing. So I went online to grab some better references. I found this website called characterdesignreferences.com. Wow. And it had official character sheets from Demon Slayer and also a whole bunch of character sheets from other shows as well. Now that I had my references, honestly, there's just nothing more to do than just get started. I remember there was one advice I heard when modeling anime characters that really stuck with me. Basically, if it starts to look like an alien, then you're going in the right direction. Alright, there we go. Since we're basing this off Demon Slayer, I know exactly what we need next. Flat 2D shading. Other things we took note of when looking at references was looking at things like hair highlights, shadows on the clothing, and line art. Line art's going to be something that we're going to do later. I'm not really too good at shader nodes, so I kind of just went to every YouTube video about anime shading that I could, and here's what I came up with. And honestly, that's all there is to it. Pretty straightforward, I think. The hair highlights and clothing were a bit trickier. I went back to rewatch the show and I'm just like, huh? Their clothing and hair still have shadows, even at nighttime. That makes no sense to me, but I kind of know why they did it. It looks cool. So I was over here thinking like there was some sophisticated modeling way that I had to do this, something about like shader nodes and math, and then at some point I got frustrated and I was just like, bump it. I'll figure it out later. Future me problem. Cool. So then I moved on to drawing his scars, and while I was texturing, I just sat there and I was like, wait, why don't I just paint on the shadows? Who's gonna know? Besides me, right? And honestly, I think the look came out great, right? I think this worked. Honestly, I think the simplest approach might sometimes be the better approach. I think I was just overcomplicating things. This was probably the most difficult part, the line art. Maybe this is only because I just started getting more into art, but when I was watching the anime, I kind of noticed like Demon Slayer line art is different, like really different. It might sound kind of corny, but I'll probably say the Demon Slayer line art is like a character in its own. And when I think of Demon Slayer, I think one thing that's just come to me is like, oh, the line art. So I had to figure out how to get that look. At this point, trying to capture this look was mandatory. I done moved over to grease pencil. I tried line art modifiers. I tried freestyle. You name it, any video on YouTube, I've seen it, but none of those methods really stuck. Or, well, maybe I just wasn't too smart enough to figure it out. I'm sure one of you could. I just know I couldn't. I remember seeing a tutorial online that said I could achieve the look doing like geometry nodes and grease pencil. And if I have to test geometry nodes, I'm not doing it. So, straight to the trash. I reached out to some people at Goose Studios to ask how they do line art, and they mentioned that they use a tool called Piece Off. It's a paid add-on, and I'm like, okay, you know, I'm used to kind of giving some money. How bad can it be? I won't show you the price, but just know I caved. I was already running out of brain power, and at this point, I just needed something simple and effective. So I tossed my wallet at it, but I'm gonna just look at this as me investing in myself. This will always be updated for Blender. I always get the latest version. This is the industry standard tool, so this will handle auto liner I need for now and pretty much the rest of my life. And yeah, this might sound like coping. It is. This is yeah. But it was worth every cent, I swear. I was able to capture this line art effectively pretty easily after installing it. So after some quick tutorials, reading some documentations, and here we are. Here's the look we was able to capture. I think this actually fitted pretty close. Honestly, I'm really happy with how things turned out. But now I'm just sad, like just looking at this creation. Is this the end of the character I just worked so hard on? Just like that? Is that the end of his story? No, this isn't the end. It can't be. Like I said, this is something I want to get to the point where I'm making a short animated film based off my own ideas. So that means I have to take this up a notch, move on to the next level. I need to conquer the monster known as animation. This has been something that I've been procrastinating on for years, just a lingering thought at the back of my head. But it got to the point where I'm like, I got things I want to do, dreams I want to reach. If I don't change my habits now, I'm never going to get there. I'm going to be putting myself through some special training, giving myself the blue lock treatment. Every day for the next month, I'm going to be doing nothing but eat, sleep, and breathe animation, 2D animation, 3D animation, putting myself through hours of practice and studying whatever notes I can. And I will emerge from the other side as a 3D animator. This is a guarantee. With that being said, see y'all in a month.
Yeah, we could